1532, Machiavelli's book The Prince offered clever recipes for success to government leaders. Some of the book's suggestions are quite devious, and the word Machiavellian comes to refer to act of deceit and manipulation. A leader or government is judged by how closely their actions adhere to the socially dictated morality and norms. We assume a government that is highly moral will automatically succeed. The deeper assumption is that a leader who acts in a morally correct way for that culture will be blessed by divine favor, which will lead to the positive outcomes for the leader or government. We assume a morally good prince will succeed in their actions because they are morally good. Machiavelli, in contrast, advocates literal amoralism. He says political matters shall be viewed independent of cultural and moral norms. He was one of the first to assert that political science, diplomacy, and warfare should focus on things as they are, not as they should be in some ideal world. For Machiavelli, a successful prince is one who understands human nature and motivation, has studied history, and applies the lessons of the past to the challenges of the present.
The American Revolution 1775. Lexington and Concord Battles April 1775. The battles of Lexington and Concord were the American Revolutionary War's first military engagements. For years, tensions have been brewing between the British and the colonial American over taxation. British redcoats marched into Concord during the night of April 18, 1775 in order to seize an armament cache, and Lexington in order to apprehend the rebel leaders Samuel Adams and John Hancock. Paul Revere alerted the colonists that the British were coming, and John Hancock and Samuel Adams escaped. The next day, the colonial militiamen met the far larger British force near Lexington. Although neither side intended to assault, a shot was fired due to miscommunication. This was the shot that was heard around the world. The colonial militia fled to Concord after exchanging volleys with the other side. The concealed armaments at Concord were not discovered by the British Redcoats. Numerous militia members, also known as Minutemen for their quick mobilization, British Redcoats were fired upon by buildings and trees, causing them to flee. The American Revolution.
This document marked the formal start of the war and set the stage for a struggle for freedom. Despite facing challenges, the colonies fought hard and won key battles, even with limited resources and training. Notably, the Battle of Saratoga turned the tide as the colonies' victory convinced the French to support their cause. The war concluded in 1783 with the Treaty of Paris, where Britain recognized the United States as a sovereign nation. This war was not just about gaining independence, it had a lasting impact by shaping the principles of liberty, equality, and self-governance that became the foundation of the new nation and influenced movements for independence worldwide.
In 1815, Napoleon's defeat at the Battle of Waterloo serves as a lesson that even renowned military forces can be defeated when their resources are stretched too thin. Napoleon's attempt to control a vast empire meant that his troops were spread across different regions, weakening his overall military strength. This dispersion of resources made it difficult for him to effectively respond to challenges, and when facing a coalition of stronger opponents, like the British and Prussian forces at Waterloo, his lack of concentrated power led to his ultimate defeat. This historical event underscores the importance of strategic resource allocation, and maintaining a focused, cohesive military force. Certainly, in 1815, the Battle of Waterloo marked the final clash between Napoleon Bonaparte's French forces and a coalition army led by the Duke of Wellington and Gebhard Leverich von. Napoleon had risen to power as the Emperor of France and managed to control a vast empire through his military prowess and strategic genius. However, his ambition to dominate Europe led to his armies being spread thin across various fronts. This dispersion of resources meant that he could not concentrate his forces effectively in any one area. By the time he faced the combined British and Prussian forces at Waterloo, his troops were fatigued from numerous campaigns and lacked a unified command structure due to the widespread nature of his military operations. In contrast, the coalition forces had the advantage of focusing their resources and coordinating their efforts, leading to a more cohesive and potent fighting force. The Battle of Waterloo demonstrates how Napoleon's weakened army struggled to respond to the unified and concentrated attacks of the coalition forces. Despite his tactical brilliance, Napoleon's inability to rally his dispersed troops quickly enough resulted in his defeat. The lesson here is that even the most renowned military leaders and armies can face defeat if they overextended their resources and lack a central strategic focus. The Battle of Waterloo serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of maintaining a balance between territorial ambitions and the ability to effectively command and control one's forces.
1865. The American Civil War ends. Historians consider the Confederacy to have a better generals, but the Union possessed a greater resources. Sometimes, good strategies simply cannot overcome a stronger adversary. American Civil War marked a peak of Clausewitz's strategy. A German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck and U.S. President Abraham Lincoln successfully waged war for great stakes. Two distant fronts to achieve their purposes, yet, even in their successes, changes were already beginning to threaten the continued use of Clausewitz's strategy. Mass mobilization produced two effects: a level of societal engagement that made moderation and compromise in peacemaking difficult, and conscripted armies that were becoming difficult to handle in the field.
1944. Following a series of deceptions designed to confuse and fool German forces, the Allies launched a D-Day invasion in an effort to liberate Europe from Nazi control. The Germans knew that at some stage, the Allies would launch a cross-channel invasion, but they were unsure of exactly when it would take place. As a crucial part of their preparations for D-Day, June 6, 1944, the Allies developed a deception plan to draw attention away from Normandy. The D-Day deception plan was codenamed Operation Fortitude and was part of a larger overall deception strategy. Operation Bodyguard Fortitude consisted of two parts. Fortitude North was meant to fool the Germans into thinking that the Allies would launch an attack on Norway, and Fortitude South was designed to convince the Germans that an invasion would occur northeast of Normandy in the Pass de Calais.